The Pacheco Pass, a bridge connecting two great California valleys, and an area full of history. In early California days, men like Joaquin Murrieta rode through here. On the western edge of the pass, at the tiny town of San Juan Bautista, the historical inheritance of this part of California runs even deeper. One of the original Spanish missions was established here in 1797. The church built in 1805 still stands, with a number of other buildings. It's now a state historical site, and a visit here gives one a feeling of somehow making connection with the past. Considering its tradition, quite appropriately, Mission San Juan in early December is the scene of an important play, a play with even more historical significance than the Mission San Juan itself. It is a recreation from the year 1531. Gualatotzin, a full-blooded Mexican Indian, requests an audience with the Catholic Bishop of Mexico. Juan Diego, as the priests call him, tells the bishop that he has seen the Mother of God on the hill of Tepeyac. Through Gualatotzin, she requests that a church be built in her name to protect the indigenous people of Mexico. The bishop and his assistants are skeptical. Throughout Mexico, Catholic missionaries are having trouble converting the Indians to their concept of God. Now an Indian says he has seen the Mother of God. Although Juan Diego has been converted, it is too much for the bishop to believe. He orders him to return with proof. Juan Diego will return, and when he does, Mexico, the church and Indians will never be the same. This historical occurrence continues to have great importance with Mexican people today. It is relived in the play La Virgen Del Tepeyac, which is performed each December in San Juan by the internationally known Chicano theater group El Teatro Campesino. Teatro also is based in San Juan. When it undertakes a project, one can be sure it is of significance to Chicanos. La Virgen de Tepeyac, La Virgen de Guadalupe, as she is known, is of special significance.
Well, the play is it's an old play, for one thing. We're not exactly sure when it originated. It's a classic. At least we started with a classic, 17th century classic. Some people say 18th century classic. Written certainly in the Spanish of that era. Written probably by some kind of priest who was trying to use the play to convert the Indians, to teach them again Catholicism. We took the original version with the archaic Spanish and updated it. We've been doing the play, this is the 9th time, since 1971. And through the years, we've adapted the play and introduced different kinds of imagery and introduced a lot of action and more characters. The play has a lot of Indian dance. We emphasize the whole Indian quality of it because, of course, in Mexico, it's a tradition to have Indians dance to the Virgen. And that's one way, close to the Virgencita, that the Indian culture has managed to survive. And so we used the play to Indianize the Catholics rather than to Catholicize the Indians, okay? And we feel that she serves as the perfect bridge between the past and the present and or the future.
The 12th of December is the day of La Virgen de Guadalupe. It is celebrated widely in Mexico and the United States. A candlelight procession at St. Alphonsus Church in West Fresno was one of those observances. La Virgen is a force wherever Mexican people live. She is found outside of churches and inside where candles are offered to her. Those who honor her say her strength is to be respected, so many build their own shrines to her in their yards. La Virgen even is found in restaurants, on ledges. In the Catholic Church, La Virgen de Guadalupe is seen as Mary, the Mother of God. But there are many other views, often intriguing. There are those who believe that La Virgen actually was a manifestation of the Indian force or god Tonatzin. Others say she is a bridge between two worlds and religions. They say on one hand she appeared as Mary, the Mother of God, yet it is said that her features were definitely Indian. In other words, her message was that no matter which beliefs, Catholic or Indian, there is one eternal force to be respected. Either way, the appearance of La Virgen brought millions of Indians into the Catholic Church.
They were having a difficult time getting the Indians to accept the new faith, and it was after the apparition in Tepeyac that the floodgates just opened. They tell us there's accounts that missionaries had to take to their bed. They were, so tired, prostrate, actually exhausted from so many instructions and baptisms that they were having to perform after the apparition. And it seems that she spoke to the Indios in the language that they understood. And the other psychology at work, here you have a people who have been defeated, a conquered people, just ready to give up practically. There's nothing to live for. Their language, their religion, their culture has just been, stumped out practically. And all of a sudden you have this lady telling them that they have something good. And she calls herself the mother of the one true God. And on her throat she has the cross of the Savior, the God that the Spaniards were preaching. And she's already not totally Indian and not totally Spanish. She's already a mestiza. You look at the picture of her features, she's mestiza. And so the message seemed to be one of, what you had was good. There was a lot of good in it. And she has the sun, she has the stars, she has the moon, she has the blue mantle, the night. She has right on her bosom, she's got el quinto sol. If you ever study very closely, right under the sash, there's a flower.
So all the Indian
symbols were there. But she identifies this with Mary, the mother of the Savior. And this is when the Indians were able to accept the concept of Christianity.
Luis Valdez says the image of the Universal Mother is part of every culture on the face of the earth, and it was part of the Indian civilizations before the arrival of the Spaniards.
Well, there are a number of different interpretations. Do Nansin, again, was the general term. As I say, those words, Do, our, Nansin, mother, was the belief in love, that kind of the motherly love, which is all forgiving and all embracing. There are other forms of the Great Mother that appear in pre-American cultures. Bautlique, for instance, was more of an abstract concept. She's a goddess, an earth goddess sculpted in stone. She's got the claws of an eagle on her feet, and she's got the scales of a serpent, and she's got a collar of human hands and hearts. She's a monstrous, frightening vision of Mother Nature, you might call her. That's another thing that's perhaps a little bit different. The indigenas didn't have the direct, personal, human relationship with their gods that you found in some European forms. They tended to think of their gods more abstractly as natural forces and looked to themselves as human beings for human love, because it's from human beings that you receive human love, not from the abstract forces of nature. So they made that distinction. But Tonantzin, interestingly enough, was the goddess of love, not carnal love, spiritual love. And so that made her a natural to be identified with the Virgin Mary.
You will find those that carry their devotion to the Virgin further by erecting small shrines in front of their homes. You can find them all over the valley. Just off Highway 41, south of Easton, there's one in front of the home of Ismael Gonzalez, a farm worker. During the Christmas season, the shrine is decorated with lights and can be seen by travelers.
Esa es la única, y no nomás para los mexicanos, para todos los países. Es la única, es la madre de América. Según yo, quién sabe. Pues es muy sencillo. Bueno, yo soy muy devoto de la Virgen de Guadalupe. Siempre he mandado pues mandas y todo eso. Y desde que vivió a mi madre, siempre le prometí a la Virgen que le prometí a no resurrarme hasta que volviera. El límite eran 2 años. Y cuando murió ya mi madre, que ya siempre seguí yendo y tenía el deseo de hacer un altarcito aquí para la Virgen de Guadalupe, y todo el tiempo procuraba pues buscar una, y hasta que el 70 fue cuando fue cuando construí este altarcito aquí, y ese fue el motivo que soy devoto de la Virgen.
In performing this piece, we share as Chicanos, we share our opinions of our religious beliefs, and it's a universal thing that we perform the Virgen, because this year, as I say, we've put it into English as well as Spanish, and no matter what language we eventually put it in, there may be in another 5, we hope that the feeling when they leave the mission is one of joy, one of having partaken of a very special event, something cultural, something religious, something mental, something emotional, but above everything else, something happy, something joyful, peaceful.